guys, what's up? Victor999 here, and today I am doing my review on A Link Between Worlds. If you guys are new here, hey, I've been playing every Zelda game chronologically, and we are almost done with this series. If you are not familiar, we are, I would say, about halfway done with the Fallen timeline. If you are enjoying this series so far, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and let's just get into this. Alright, so for the first section, we have controls. I played this on a emulator on the PC, so I used an Xbox controller. I believe this game was originally meant for the 3DS, so with that being said, controls were a little bit weird at times. You kind of use the controller as well as the mouse, because if you are unfamiliar, your 3DS, you have a little stylus. You're just switching back between using the mouse for the bottom half of the screen that you would normally use the stylus on, and the controller was a little funky, but I used an emulator, so whose fault is it really? I would give the controls on an emulator a score of 7 out of 10. They weren't awful, they were pretty easy, everything was relatively straightforward. Just a little weird switching back and forth between those two. Next category is storyline and lore. Alright, so this game starts off very like, hey, I'm throwing you in, good luck, which I kind of noticed is very popular in the older games, especially I noticed in Link to the Past. But this game came out, I believe, in 2013, so it's not even an older game. But it definitely took, I would say, styles from older games and made it into a 3D version. But anywho's, you show up at the castle, Zelda's being kidnapped, right in there to help her, and this guy named Yuga's there. Who the heck is Yuga? I'll tell you who Yuga is. He's a weirdo and he wants to take Zelda to get her Triforce, of course. Classic, right? And basically he disappears after a little battle with him into a little crack in the wall, and basically this crack transports you into Lorule, which Lorule is just the quite literally dark alternate universe to Hyrule. But the reason why I would say they're dark is because many moons ago they had to give up and have their Triforce destroyed there because people just kept fighting over it for power. So that's the only reason I would claim it as dark. It could quite literally just be, you know, another alternate universe. So basically, the storyline in this game is before you run into Yuga for the first time, you do the temples in the open world, run into Yuga for the first time, learn that you can transport between worlds, then you are only doing temples in Lorule. And while you're in Lorule, you run into Zelda version in Lorule, her name's Hilda, and then you also run into a man who works in our house, but in the dark world, and his name's Ravio. I'll get more into this in the gameplay about who Ravio is and what he provides in this game. Back to the storyline. So basically you go through, you do all of these temples, per usual, Zelda game, and then you have the final boss. Spoilers, guys. I guess this relatively early on of Hilda and her, you know, true side, as well as Ravio. The more I'm thinking about it, someone mentioned like they kind of tell you without telling you who Ravio is based on where her shop's located, but I still felt like a genius for cracking the codes on a kid's game early on. But anyway, at the end battle, it's really cool. Yuga turns into Yuga-Ganon, patent pending. It's just a lot of painting in this. Like, take Spirit Tracks train hyperfixation and turn it into paintings, and you got this game. I honestly didn't mind that at all, though. It was kind of cool because I would find myself confused at times and then be like, oh, I can get onto walls. But yeah, anyway, back to the storyline. I think it was really interesting. I like that there was things that you did have to guess, i.e. Hilda and Ravio and like who they were, because I don't know, I just like having to guess that type of stuff. And then the storyline, what Link does at the end, I don't know, very happy, very good ending for everyone. And it just kind of showed Link's selflessness. I don't know, I thought it was a very wholesome game and that the storyline was easy to follow. I like that there was a hyperfixation in it. I always make fun of them, but you know, it's cool, I like it. But then I have to get to the lore side of it. I don't know if we'll ever see this world again, which like, I'm not gonna apply that to lore because obviously that would have damaged Twilight Princess's rating of lore because like she broke the mirror, guys. I just had to mention it. I don't know if we'll ever see this world again, which bums me out. Yuga, probably won't ever see him again. But like I said, Yuga turns into this form of Ganon, like the beast form. So that kind of ties into past lore. Everyone just wants to be Ganon at the end of the day. Anyway, I would probably give the storyline and lore a 7 out of 10. I thought it was good. Like I said, something about it attracted me. Probably won't see any of the people we saw ever again. So lore-wise, it's like, I made the joke that I feel like they created the Fallen timeline for all the games that weren't directly after one another, because they were like, I don't know where to put these, let's just throw them all in this timeline. That's what I got from this game too. On to the next category is gameplay. Alright, this gameplay I feel like was rich with weirdness and goodness. So to begin, a lot of this game is traveling back and forth between worlds. So you have to go through these little cracks. They probably have a technical name. So a lot of this game, I noticed when I was confused or stuck in a temple or whatnot, it was literally just because I needed to get it on the wall. I needed to get on the wall and I needed to use the wall. And I don't know why that was so hard to me. It took me up into the ice ruins, the literal last dungeon that I did before going into the castle, to figure out, hey, second nature, get on the wall. But I wonder if that's a problem for anyone else. It's not a second nature, you know, to be like, I'm gonna merge onto this wall. So anyway, I thought the gameplay was really good. Some parts in the gameplay that irritated me, but like not that big of a deal. It doesn't impact the score at all, but I do have to mention, for example, it's kind of like a Link to the Past in the sense where you need to find a way to get to each part of the temple and you can't walk there. In the overworld, if you will, you have to find a crack closest to the temple you want to go to, because in lore rule, you can't just walk from place to place to place. Not that big of a deal. I don't have any problem with it, but just want to mention that because some people like to just walk from place to place to place. They don't want to, you know, have to figure out how to get there. There's also a lot of upgrades you can do, which I enjoy. I'll talk more about those in side quests and side characters, of course, but I thought the upgrades that I did were worth it. I also thought that the temples were really good. They had a few of, you know, like the classic bosses. Like they had the little, I call him the hamburger worm. I don't know what, he just kind of looks like a hamburger from the top. I don't know who or what his name is. So they had a few of the classic bosses, but most of the bosses, I was like, who are you? Which is always fun. I do like having the old bosses where I'm like, hey, I know how to beat you, but then I also like the new challenge. So yeah, the bosses I thought were really good. The temples were also relatively straightforward. I had an easy time with all of them. Even when I was confused, somehow I just ended up in the right area. Anyway, let's talk about the final boss battle. So basically, here's how the end goes, guys. Spoilers, I'm going to be telling you about the end. And this matters because there's a plot twist, so that's why I'm saying spoilers. We finish all the temples. Hilda's like, hey, I got Zelda here, come get her. You finally have what you need to break through to get into this castle. And I'm like, sick, cool, on my way. You do the little Lorule castle, you get in, and Hilda's standing there with Zelda's painting. And it's like, yay, give her to me now. And Hilda's like, you probably know what I need to do. So sorry, boo. I need your Triforces, right? Because she doesn't have a Triforce. Yuga Ganon shows up. The first phase is very A Link to the Past, where you got the trident throw, he's disappearing, reappearing. You got the trident and just jab, where he runs up at you, jabs you. Silly mistakes. Ooh, I was hoping I'd get him. That's okay. So in the second phase, you're playing tennis, you know, he's gonna throw the orb at you, you gotta hit the orb back. This one, I do have to say, they do call for a little skill. I feel like in the past tennis, Ocarina, Twilight Princess, you can literally just stand there and go like this. Like, you pray it'll hit, but you can do that. In this game, if you hit it too early or too late, it kind of bounces and then comes back and hits you. And I'm like, oh, they needed you to show up for this boss battle. So like me, who was totally not just slashing back and forth, was like, why does this orb keep hitting me? Then I realized, oh my God, you actually need to like pay attention. Oops. So yeah, that was the second phase. Classic, we're used to it. Third phase, he jumps into the wall and Zelda's like, here's a bow of light to help you out. You cannot hit him unless you are also on the wall. So for the first section of this phase, you shoot him, he pops out, you hit him. Okay, cool. For the second section of this phase, you have to shoot him in the front, then shoot him from the back. So you have to go really quickly, pop out, get behind him, shoot him again, he pops out, you hit him. Got it. Okay. For the third section of this phase, so here he is, you have to turn around, shoot, and then it'll go all the way around the arena to shoot him in the back. And then you're done. I'm an idiot, sorry. And then you get to the cutscenes, which Ravio shows up. And Ravio, we find out, was somebody who I thought Ravio was. We do need to talk about Ravio. So basically, this game has a rental system. The rental system in this game, I heard, bothers a lot of people. It didn't bother me because I'm somebody who collects a lot of rupees. Like, by the end of the game, has 10,000 rupees and is like, I've bought nothing this entire game. So the rental didn't bother me because after like the third temple, I just bought everything I needed. So basically, the rental system, you go to his place, he says, hey, you can have this, but if you die, it comes back to me, which doesn't seem bothersome until you're, say, at a boss in a temple and you die. You have to then go to Ravio's house, get your stuff back, go back. It's just an added step. So like, it's annoying, but not that big of a deal. I only had it happen once. I also was using save states, so don't tell anyone. So it wasn't that big of a deal. Like I said, I just bought things I needed. Ravio shows up and is like, hey, like, I'm so sorry, I've been a coward, Hilda, but you don't need to do this. Like, we'll figure this out. He's the Link. And so basically she's like, you're right, you're right, you're right. Just like the moment of friendship comes out, and we go back home and you can ask the Triforce for one thing. I don't know when the Triforce becomes a genie lamp, but it does for now. Zelda or Link, probably both, ask for the Triforce to reappear in Lorule. I thought this game was very wholesome in that manner. Like, the power of friendship really brought everyone together. Like I said, the merging on the walls and the whole painting vibe was very well done in this game. It wasn't overused. It wasn't like all that the game was about. Talking to you, Spirit Tracks. The mobs also were relatively easy. Nothing we haven't seen before. Once again, very like A Link to the Past-y type mobs. I don't know, I would say A Link Between Worlds was very much like A Link to the Past, but done more modern and more for the targeted age audience. So yeah, I would give the gameplay a 7 out of 10. Onto the final section of side quests and side characters. This game has a good amount of side quests that you can do and ones that are prompted at you to do. So let's start with heart pieces. I think I had maybe an eighth left to do of the heart pieces. Like, I probably had one row and half of the second row, so I was almost there. You just had to do a bunch of mini games to get all of them, and I was like, I have a world to save. And then there was this thing, it's like an octopus. May? She's looking for all her babies. Somehow she lost all of her little babies throughout Lorule and Hyrule together, and you have to go find them. I don't know what she gives you at the end, because I didn't do it. I'll probably insert whatever it is she rewards you. There's also different mini games that do have to do with getting heart pieces. Like, there's this guy who wants to race with you. There's people who want to play baseball with you. There's a game with the chickens, of course. There's just a lot that you can do. And then upgrade wise, you can upgrade your Master Sword twice. You can get the blue tunic and the red tunic, which aren't fire and water based in this. They are damage that you receive versus damage that the people you are fighting receive, so offense and defense related tunics. I thought the side quests and side characters were plentiful in this game, and you had a lot to do. Just based on heart pieces alone, you got a lot to do. So but yeah, I would give the side quests and the side characters a 7 out of 10. Alrighty, we got a bunch of 7s for this game. So with a 7 out of 10 in controls on an emulator, with a 7 out of 10 in storyline and lore, with a 7 out of 10 in gameplay, and with a 7 out of 10 in side quests and side characters, we come out with a 28 out of 40, which equals a 70%, which I believe is a C-. Honestly, like I keep saying, I thought this game was really fun. This game, one thing I forgot to mention, this game goes by really fast. You could sit down and play at least half of this game in one sitting. I was shocked, but also kind of in love with that aspect. This would be another good game to introduce people into the Zelda world. I believe the other one I said was Link's Awakening. I thought that game was a really good one to introduce people into the Zelda world. The only problem is this one, you know, is 3DS or emulator, so it would be a little more hard to come across if you don't have one or the other. But yeah, I recommend this game if you haven't played it. Lore-wise, if you're once again trying to play all the games that matter in the series, like, this isn't necessary, but still a fun one to play. Comment down below your thoughts and opinions on this game if you have played it. I know this is a game that a lot of people have played in their childhood, so let me know if you have nostalgia-based love for it, if you liked it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and I will see you guys after the new year. Bye everyone!